I thought it'd be fun if we looked at some people who've actually moved to Europe and got their thoughts on what they felt was hard to adjust to when they moved here from America. Sometimes I say things in a long-winded way when there would be a shorter way to say them. We're dipping back into the weird world of Reddit.
It's all too strange and new.
Before I get into the video, do be sure to subscribe. Otherwise, well, just the 60% of you that aren't subscribed just won't know when there's a new video out. And why not subscribe? Because it's free. And I know this is less of a threat, but if you enjoy the content, subscribe. Just makes sense, no? As you guys know, I'm fascinated by cultural differences, and what we find normal in one part of the world is completely different in another part of the world. The reason I enjoy comparing Europe and America is because superficially there are so many commonalities. Grew up watching America on TV and film, interested in America. And also Canada, because Canada is to America what Ireland is to Britain. Love you, Canada. Okay, the first thing that somebody has said is the British are emotionally different. I would say they're also different from Irish people, but I'll go on. Not as gregarious and open as Americans. Being here a while now, I've learned that once you make a British friend, they're your friend forever, but for the first year or so, it was quite lonely. I felt like no one liked me, which wasn't the case at all. Yeah, if you didn't know, I lived in London twice in my life for extended periods of time, and I found it quite lonely too. I'd definitely say the Irish are a bit more into being friendly and approaching new people than the British, but definitely not to the same extent as Americans.
Let's be friends, shall we?
British people have that whole stiff upper lip thing, whereas Irish people are a bit more quippy. Americans are a whole nother level though. They will just talk to you out of the blue. I think I told you the anecdote before about when I was in a supermarket and the guy behind me started commenting on all the things I was buying, and I was just like, okay. In reality, he was just being American, he was just being friendly. I can see how it would be a lot easier to make friends in America than it would be in Europe. On the flip side, I have also found that Americans can be superficially nice, which you can take too seriously. For example, everybody inquires as to how you are, and they don't really necessarily want you to go into too much detail if they've just met you for the first time. So yeah, I think once you crack a European person and they're your friend for life. Whereas Americans might not be as into you as you think they are, because they're just nice to everybody, really. Again, we're talking in generalities. Not everybody in America is nice. Not everybody in Ireland will go up and talk to you, blah, blah, blah. We're talking in generalities. Next up, the supermarket times. When I studied in Switzerland, the supermarkets closed around 6 every day, except when they were closed on Sundays. Yes, in America, you can go shopping whenever you want. You can go to the mall at 11 o'clock in the evening. That's just a thing you can do. You can do it whenever you want. In Europe, our stores have very distinct closing times. If they don't, they are the exception to the rule. I would say Ireland has a lot more stores open late than other parts of Europe, and especially Spain with their whole siesta situation. It's difficult.
We're gonna go shopping?
I can see a plus and a minus to stuff being open all the time. The good thing about stuff being open all the time in America is you can get anything anytime you want. You can just do it on a whim. The bad thing is that the people who work there are working all kinds of hours of the day, and society doesn't really shut down at a certain time, which could be a little for the brain. Just a thought. Next up, waiters and service people in general not being proactive or dropping by just to check on you. Even though I know it's what I'm supposed to do, I still feel rude having to flag someone down to order or ask for the check. We've talked about that one a lot on this channel, about how you have to ask for your bill at the end of the evening here. That's just how it works. Whereas in America, they will just bring the bill to you, which I, as a European, found weird. But another thing I have noticed is they come up and ask you several times throughout your meal if everything's okay. In Ireland and anywhere else in Europe, they kind of come over once and that's it, and you're obliged to flag them down if you want something. I actually find it a little invasive when they keep coming over to check if everything's okay. To me, it's sort of akin to somebody sucking up to the teacher to get a good grade. I feel like they just want a good tip, and because of the tipping culture, that is just how things work there. But also, I think in America, your service industry is a lot better. And I say that with trepidation because I just like to be left alone in general, but maybe I'm the exception to the rule. Let me know below in comments how you feel about somebody coming up to you during your meal a lot. I'm a bit weird. I just like to be left alone, all by myself, forever and ever. The next one says, so the doors don't open the same. What? In the US, doors almost always open away from you on the inside and you pull from the outside. This is a fire safety regulation. In the UK, at least, it's never consistent and I always open the wrong way. I can't say I've noticed that at all. Definitely have been guilty of pulling when I'm supposed to push and pushing when I'm supposed to pull. But I didn't think that was a European American thing. I thought it was just a me thing. Honestly, I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board on that one because I just haven't noticed. I'll keep my eyes out though. Have you guys noticed that if you've been to Europe and America? I'm sorry, I'm just lost on that one. The next one says walking everywhere, and a lot of people don't have driver's licenses, which is weird for me coming from South Carolina and now living in a large city. Yeah, as a person who doesn't drive, I can only agree with that. I know a lot of people who don't drive who live in Dublin City. Because it's such a small place, it's pretty easy to have a good public transport service. And yet we do manage to feck it up a lot. Especially in the summertime, people ride bicycles a lot more. Whereas in America, I have noticed that if you're just going 2 blocks up, people will get in their car and drive there, which is alien to a European. I guess because Americans are just so used to everywhere being so far away, their first instinct is just to get in the car and drive everywhere. It makes sense. I know people who are like that, they just drive everywhere. I'm curious to see if I do take up driving, if I become one of those people. I think the answer is probably going to be yes, because it will mean exposing myself to the outside world less. This next one says, when I moved to Germany, I had to separate everything into plastics, paper, cartons, cans, cardboard, non-recyclable waste, organic waste, glass, etc. Yeah. In America, you guys have one recycling bin and one big bin, and I guess somebody goes through your recycling bin at the recycling place and separates things. In Ireland, we also have to do our own separation, and my parents do it in Spain as well. You'll bring your bottles to the bottle bank, you'll put cardboard in a separate bin, then you'll put compostables in. It's just force of habit, it's just what we do. I think it's also why people in Europe complain a little bit more about recycling than Americans do, because it's just more arduous for us. So I never thought about it before, but I guess there are people in America whose job it is to separate out recyclables. Oh, I bet they find all sorts of stuff. Ugh. The next one says, constantly having coins in my pocket and actually using them was something that took me a bit to get used to. Yes, in America, because you have the $1 note, I've noticed it's far more acceptable to pay people with notes than it is coins. People seem to almost take me paying them with coins as kind of an insult, so I've stopped doing it. It's all money though, you know? It's all currency.
Money is money, it doesn't matter.
In Ireland, we use the euro, and we have the €1 coin and the €2 coin, and the smallest we have in notes is a €5 note, so you will pay in coins a lot. Also, when you're tipping in places like Spain where they don't expect such a high tip, you'll throw a couple of coins down on the table and that's just what you leave as a tip. In Ireland, the tip is more like 10%. Recently, however, because of the virus situation, we're all pretty much paying by card now. They've upped the limit that you can tap on a debit card. Everybody in Ireland is now tapping their debit card. Nobody is really paying with cash at the moment. And a lot of places aren't accepting cash at the moment. It'll be interesting to see how the ramifications of the virus affect our exchange of money in the long run. I know there has always been a push to get Europe more into using cards like in America, so yeah, the governments are going to get what they want. Never a good thing. The next person says, smokers everywhere. Smoking in front of kids in train stations, old men smoking cigars and pipes on the street. Yeah. I've actually noticed in America you hardly ever see anybody smoking, and if you do, they're kind of the exception. In Ireland, I know a lot of people who smoke a lot. With everything going on at the moment, I've found myself noticing smokers more so in Ireland lately. I was in the queue for the supermarket and the guy in front of me was smoking and it was blowing into my face, and I just thought how counterproductive that was. I then made a point of standing very far away from him and upsetting the entire queuing system. I just found it rude.
How could you be so rude?
Yeah, I don't know why in America people don't smoke as much. It's just less of a thing there. Maybe you know. Let me know below in comments your thoughts on why people smoke less in America. Or seem to, anyway. Next up, somebody says, it blows my mind how they deal with competition and specifically baseball. For them, it is a very casual hobby and winning is not all important. Both in this and in other games and sports, I find it borders almost on disrespect, as they often feck around and love casually cheating. From what I've seen, yes, this is definitely true. The Americans take competition very seriously. That's probably why you guys win at everything, and probably a big part of the reason we don't want you in Eurovision. You just make everything so serious. If you joined the Eurovision, you'd make even the messiness of it serious. You'd have the campiest, silliest act and you'd win every year. I have found the attitude to competition in Europe is a lot more casual. Sometimes we just enjoy doing the thing more so than the competitiveness of it. Don't get me wrong, there are sports that we take very seriously, like professional rugby, like professional football. But definitely if we're just playing a game of snooker, it's not that serious. I'm not saying every American makes bowling a competitive sport, but don't you guys teach bowling in school? Isn't that like it's a module, right? We don't want America to come in because you'll just be too good at it. So no, you're not allowed in Eurovision. It's ours and it's a big mess and we like it. You guys take things too seriously and you win everything. No America in the Eurovision.
Kinda not invited.
And finally it is so hard to deal with my space being constantly invaded. They just don't have the same sense of a privacy bubble. Well, we do now. Yeah, I gotta say I am loving the sense of space I have when I go out at the moment. There's room on the bus. People are supposed to stand 6 feet away from you, but sometimes they don't really. I hope we maintain that sense of distance. Sometimes Europeans just get too close. Europe has a kissy, huggy culture, which we've talked about before. And America is just, don't get in my space, or can I say it? I'll shoot you. Don't shoot me. It's just a joke. Whatever you say. It's all different now with the virus, so yeah. That's changed a lot of stuff around here. Let me know below in comments what cultural change you think you might find it hard adjusting to in Europe or vice versa in America. Today's video goes out to the Karmic Goals crew over on Patreon. This community of people, every single one of them, is amazing. You have no idea how much they pick me up when I'm down and how much they drive the content of this channel. So thank you. If you see them below in comments, please give them a boop because they're cool. That's it for today. Bye. Not everybody's nice, but things okay when I definitely say red leather, yellow leather. Are you cool? Are you cool? You're so cool.